Knowing the appropriate types of reading instruction in literacy and language is important for any educator to understand. The types of literacy instructions are reading and literacy assessment, language assessment, diagnostic testing, remediation, intervention, and progress monitoring. Reading or literacy assessments refers to practices of engaging and creative methods that examine students' performance on literacy tasks. An example of this includes giving students a formal assessment, such as an iReady diagnostic, which evaluates a student's proficiency in one or more literacy domains that includes reading, writing, or listening. Literacy assessments help teachers determine a student's level in reading and writing to see if a student needs literacy remediation or interventions in order to fill the gaps in a child's learning. Remediation comes in the form of reteaching if students need extra help, or interventions come in the form of Tier 2 or Tier 3 approaches where students are taught evidence-based practices daily to show progress. The reading specialist is responsible for using assessments to help find a student's level and create small group interventions to help students gain those skills. Students are a part of this process by engaging in literacy activities in small groups to gain literacy skills for their specific age or grade. Language assessment determines how a student speaks, listens, understands, and interprets reading, writing, or dialogue. An example of this is having students listen or read a story and orally respond to comprehend questions to see how they interpreted the story. Remediation can be used by helping students gain skills, such as questioning, to respond to stories. Interventions can be used to help students gain phonics skills or help oral and reading fluency. A reading specialist's responsibility is to help students in small groups develop speaking, listening, and oral skills that will help in their language development. Students will interact in this process by listening and responding to certain situations orally and in written form. Diagnostic tests are a type of pre-assessment to determine a student's strengths, weaknesses, and skills before core instruction begins. An example of this is students taking a running record diagnostic before instruction to see where students' reading levels are. For students who need help in one or more areas, they may need some remediation during small group instruction, where students who fall below grade level in more than one area may need interventions, or they are taken out of the classroom and receive special services to gain the necessary literacy skills. With diagnostic testing, reading specialists are able to adjust the curriculum to meet the needs of current and future students. Kids are given diagnostic testing at the beginning of the year or unit where they show how much they know about a specific area. Remediation is the process of reteaching a lesson that students may have failed. An example of remediation is teaching in small groups to help students with reading skills that they may have misconceptions in. If a student continues to show weaknesses in a specific skill, then interventions may need to be considered for a more rigorous approach. The reading specialist's job is to work with the classroom teacher to provide remediation for literacy approaches that students may be struggling in. A student will engage in small group instructions to gain these necessary skills to master a lesson. Interventions are used to help students learn skills and basic understanding for learning targets that they do not have time to receive in a regular classroom time frame. An example of this is students being taken out of the classroom for extra reading and writing support. Interventions support a child's learning by providing lessons at their level and speed to help them learn and gain the necessary skills that they can use in whole group lessons. Reading specialists' role in interventions is using test scores and other measures of progress to choose a proven intervention that will help the children learn. Students interact by being taken out of the class and engaging in small group activities and lessons to gain skills that they are missing. Progress monitoring is used to assess students' academic performance, their rates of improvement, or progress towards a specific goal. An example of this is giving students a diagnostic test at the beginning of the unit, then throughout the unit, providing activities, informal assessments, and observations to determine how a student responds to curriculum. Then, in the middle and the end of the unit, testing them again to see how much they grew. If students do not show progress during this lesson, then remediation may need to be used to reteach a lesson. If students still are struggling after the unit or year, then interventions may need to be implemented. Reading specialists' job is to assess and observe students to see if progress towards goals are being made and determine if more steps need to be taken to help the students gain these skills. Students are expected to show what they know and the progress they have made in order to show that they have mastered the skills and know how to use the skills independently.